Welcome to Truth by Billie Beene, a flash update. Today's date, January 16, 2026, time in Texas, 1 p.m. Some of the things we'll cover. Marines train for Minnesota. Israel test tactical nukes. And the U.S. hardens its grid. And President Trump has Iran in his crosshairs. Ayatollah covers his butt, and a Russian sub in the Gulf of America, and Minnesota Somalis steal, we know now, billions of dollars. But they've also been secretly shipping it out of the U.S. in luggage. So let's get started. We're going to begin with space weather. Today we have a strong solar wind hitting the Earth at 1.6 million miles per hour that could generate a G1 geomagnetic storm today. And we've had several earthquakes overnight. We had one just off of the coast of Oregon. So we've got this, Washington, Oregon. We had earthquake here, a 6.0 in the Cascadia subduction zone. It's believed this was caused by a uptick of the axial seamount. Now the axial seamount is about, I think, 16,000 miles down. But once it fully erupts, it's going to impact the West Coast. This action right here has generated smaller earthquakes into California. And this disruption in the Cascadia, axial seamount, Cascadia, could generate the big one for California. So it's good to keep our eyes on that. Plus the Costco's plate. We had that several years ago from Mike from around the world, that anything that affects this plate is going to impact the San Andreas fault line. So that's going on. We also had in Israel a 4.0 underneath the Dimona nuclear power plant, and it's believed from some sources that Israel was testing the triggers on its tactical nukes, preparatory to a joint U.S.-Israel strike, a decisive strike. That's what President Trump wants, to hit Iran massively and take down the current regime. So that's going on. And we have this. We have the Marines in California. That's going to be at the 29 Palms military base. We have Marines training to hit Minnesota should President Trump sign the Insurrection Act. And the group going in will be Marine Special Forces, Marine Raiders. They're currently training at 29 Palms. They've been training since January 9. And this is at the Marine Corps Combat Center in the Mojave Desert. They are training for an urban battlefield and doing drills. 500 Marines are training. And their training includes dispersal of crowds using non-lethal methods, rubber bullets, tear gas, flashbang grenades, plus asset protection of ICE agents. They will also use drones to provide real-time intel But make no mistake about it, if the Marines are fired upon by the paid communist agitators, we believe paid by a CCP foreign agent, Singham, and also Soros, emblematic of the deep state, because take it from me as an American citizen, American citizens don't stand out in streets for hours in below freezing temperatures to protest. We use social media, which the U.S. government closely monitors to see what are the American people talking about. So these paid communist agitators in Minnesota, aided and abetted by the commie Dem governor of Minnesota and other Minnesota government groups, we believe if they don't stop this, they are certainly going to be reckoned with by the American God, the American people, and President Trump, who, if he signs the Insurrection Act, has a Marine Raiders group, special forces, all ready to go in. Way to go, President Trump, to take down domestic terrorists. And we have this from Justin News. So it appears that Congress is investigating Somali nationals in Minnesota. We understand they've stolen billions of dollars from the U.S. government, but it's coming out now they're being investigated. Somali nationals from Somali coming into the U.S., going to Minnesota, loading up their luggage with millions of dollars of U.S. cash and taking it out of the U.S. Congress is investigating. And it's believed this has been, them taking the cash out of the U.S. has been going on since President Trump was elected. We have Senate Homeland Committee in the Senate, led by Rand Paul, Republican from Kentucky, putting forth a resolution to investigate Somali nationals coming into the U.S., stuffing their suitcases with U.S. cash and taking it out of the country from Minnesota. So that's going on. We have this from Zero Hedge. President Trump, it's believed, has a plan to remove BRICS nations from influence, and I would say a literal embedding in North and South America. BRICS is a economic group, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. And oh yeah, Ramaphosa of South Africa, we believe, is also on the list of regime change countries. And President Trump appears to be using the Monroe Doctrine principles to eliminate foreign influences in North America and South America. President Trump has the step of using 100% tariffs on countries who also want to de-dollar, stop using the U.S. dollar. We know the U.S. dollar is tied to oil, and we see the U.S. taking control of oil in Venezuela and very soon in Iran. And we noticed today that Russia's oil profits have gone down significantly recently. I submit that would be directly correlated to the U.S. taking over Venezuela and the U.S. military continuing to take control of the shadow oil tankers going both to Russia and China. So that's going on. And we have this. So we have so in the Gulf of America, we have right now, this is going on. So we have Venezuela down here. This is Mexico, the Yucatan, which we understand is one of the freest areas of drug cartel activity in Mexico. And we understand we have a Russian sub right in this area. The U.S. military is using P-8 Poseidons to look for it. And of course, from a Russian sub, a hypersonic missile could be launched that would reach America in 5 minutes. So we have real military threats going on. And we have this. This is intel. So yesterday, I put out that information that President Trump had sent B-2 stealth bombers from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri to Iran. And that was to take out a prison and take out the Iranian government servers. And that was near Karachi, Iran. And when that happened, the Iranian theocracy government, that means a theocracy, a government ruled by religion, stopped its plans to hang protesters and also stopped its plans to shoot with machine guns protesters in the streets. So that happened yesterday. After that happened, also Iran opened its airspace and U.S. military were repositioned in military bases in Qatar. This is a wait-and-see operation as President Trump moves carrier strike groups into the Red Sea and the Mediterranean Sea. I believe it's the Roosevelt carrier group, the Bush carrier group, and one other. So President Trump's directions to the U.S. military was that he wanted a decisive strike on Iran. So the U.S. continues to stage its assets. So that's going on. And we have also yesterday, President Trump received 2 diplomatic messages from Russia and China to stop what they're doing in Iran. It's also coming out that Russia has, permanent military troops and equipment inside Iran, and that it is Russia who is jamming the Starlink signals to take down the ability of the Iranian people to get out to the world what's actually happening. So we see Russia engaged in a military action against the people of Iran. And we have this. We have that, yes, and the diplomatic messages yesterday from Russia and China to President Trump, if the U.S. hits Iran, it would lead to World War III. I personally don't believe that, because I believe the U.S. is just getting started and bringing out unknown weapons that are much more lethal than nukes, but don't produce the radiation. So that's going on. And we have this. So we have a resistance leader in Iran Rajani, who brings out information that in the past 20 years, 100,000 Iranians have been killed by its theocracy government, because the government in Iran operates solely for the benefit of the Ayatollah's son, the mullahs, the IRGC, and so forth. Nothing for the Iranian people. If they don't have food, water, electricity, medicine, so what? This is how this evil and corrupt government in Iran has been operating for decades, and if the people rise up, shoot them down, which is what we are seeing now. So this resistance leader, Rajani, says that the current resistance, the current people rising up in Iran is larger. It's all 31 provinces or states. We know it's now grown to almost 250 cities, and that it includes all levels of Iranian society. Students, blue-collar workers, white-collar workers, middle class, and older people. So, as I've put forth, I believe the Iranian people have decided in their hearts to be martyrs. Give us liberty or give us death. So that's going on. And this resistance leader puts forth a group he leads, a National Core Resistance of Iran. And he says their objectives are, in 6 months, have democratic elections, that there is gender equality in Iran, and that there's a separation between religion and state or government, that autonomy be given to the Kurds, and that the court system in Iran be an independent branch, and that there is freedom for multiple political parties to rise to reflect the desires of the Iranian people, and that these objectives by the National Core Resistance of Iran has been codified 20 years ago. So we see that going on. And now from Martin Armstrong, globally famous economist who has offices all over the world, and he gets good intel. The Ayatollah Khamenei works to cover his butt and that of his son by sending out of Iran $1.5 billion in the last 48 hours. And most of it going out in the form of crypto, which the U.S. intel is tracking. And it is going to banks inside Dubai. Currently, the UAE has also frozen Iranian bank accounts in that country. So it's good to be in prayer for America, President Trump, the U.S. military, and world peace. I love you, and I'll see you soon.